Good day everyone, just a heads up that this is new work for grade 9 level, and I would like for you to put your thinking caps on before you proceed with this. So if your mind isn't clear, go take a walk around the house or whatever, go drink some water, come back and play the video again. Right, so once we start with this is equations with fractions, and there's a certain method to it. First step is decide on a certain LCD, and the second step you multiply each term by the LCD or LCM using a different color. Okay, so the whole idea with these two steps is to get rid of the denominators, okay, because how else can we get to isolate our x or a or b or c, our variable? Okay, so that is the whole idea. We multiply by some LCD and it will cancel out the denominators and leave us with only the numerator values equal to one another, and then we solve for x by isolating it, or a or b or c or whatever. Right, so now that I'm done talking, let's start with some examples. So I'm going to show my inverse operations once again in my LCD with differently colored pens. So if I have a look at 6 and 3 LCD, lowest common denominator, the first multiple they have in common is 6, so the LCM, and I want you to always write next to it for yourself, the LCD is 6. So now we're going to multiply each side by 6. So this is a relatively easy example, seeing that there's only one term on each side. And then if I multiply by 6 this side, a remains, and then equal to, but on the right hand side 6 divides by 3, we can only simplify that, and 2 remains in the numerator. So the answer will always remain in the numerator, and then I multiply what remains. 1 times 2 is 2. Let's do that in black as well. Okay, 1 times 2 is 2, so a is equal to 2. Next slide, example 2. P divided by 2 minus 7 is equal to 3/4. Now you can see there are more terms on the left hand side, so I have to focus. What you ask yourself firstly are my denominator values. So those are the 2, there's a 1 here and a 4. So what is the LCD of 2, 1 and 4? And the first multiple all of them have in common is 4. 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 4 is 4, and 4 times 1 is 4. And now my next step, multiply each and every term by that LCD so as to get rid of the denominators. Okay, and if I do that, then 4 divided by 2 leaves you with 2 over here. I'm just simplifying there. 4 divided by 1 stays 4, so I'm not going to simplify that. And then 4 divided by 4 on the right hand side is 1 remaining in the numerator. In other words, what remains on the left hand side would be the 2 multiplied by, let me just show you here, the 2 multiplied by the p. As you can see, 1 and 2, well, the 2 is not non-existent anymore, but there's just 1 remaining in the denominator. So it's just 2 times p, which is 2p, minus, and 7 times 4 over 1 is 28. If we simplify each part of this equation. And then on the right hand side it's 3 times 1 remaining, which is 3. And now if we've got to solve this equation that remains, we add 28 to both sides to remove the negative 28 from the left hand side where p is situated. And then negative 28 plus 28 is 0, only 2p remains on the left hand side, and then 3 plus 28 gives you 31. And yes, once again we may have fractions as an answer, because now in the next step we would, as an inverse operation, divide by 2 on each side, and that gives you 31/2 as an answer, which you keep as an improper fraction. Usually in algebra we keep our answers as improper fractions. Right, now in our next example we ask ourselves, what are the denominator values? So it's 3, 1 and 5. So you ask yourself, what is the LCM of 3, 1 and 5? And the first multiple they have in common is 15, and so that is then the number I multiply by in each term. So I times by 15 here, times by 15 here, it's just over 1, so I'm just going to multiply on top and times by 15 over here. And then I simplify each of the fraction parts by dividing by the denominator value. 15 divided by 3 leaves you with 5. And then over here, 15 divided by 5 leaves you with 3 remaining. So those are our numbers remaining that we have to times by the original values in the numerators. So be careful now though. I'm going to do this. Put brackets around that. Why, may you ask yourself? And that is because there are more than one terms in my numerator. So 5 has got to be multiplied by all of that. So I'd rather then, instead of making a mistake, write it as 5 times d minus 1 as the distributive property. And then on the right hand side of equals, we have 3 times 15, which we can easily calculate. That's 45 minus, then it's this d plus 2 that is multiplied by 3. But I'm rather going to write, because my mind works like that, I'm rather going to write the 3 in the front of the brackets times both terms d and 2. And so we proceed to distribute the 5 with the d and the 5 with the negative 1, leaving us with 5d minus 5. And on the right hand side, it's 45 minus, and it's not minus 3 from the 45, it's minus 3 times d and 3 times 2. Okay, so it's minus 3d. We first need to distribute, so negative 3 times d is negative 3d, and negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And now we can simplify our expression on the right hand side. 45 and negative 6 are like terms. So 5d minus 5, no like terms on the left hand side, it remains the same. But 45 minus 6 is 39, and then minus the 3d. And then of course we do as in previous examples of equations where there's a variable in each side. I'm going to use different colors now, but I'm going to remove the variable from the right hand side and remove the constant term from the left hand side. So on the right hand side I've got minus 3d. The inverse would be to add 3d, but I do it to the like term as well on the left hand side. And for the constant terms on the left hand side, I've got negative 5, and therefore I add 5. And what I do on the left of the equal sign, I have to do to the right, so I also add 5, but to the like term, which is the other constant term on the right hand side. And now I simplify, and I know that negative 5 plus 5 is 0, and negative 3d plus 3d is 0. So all I have to simplify is 5d plus 3d on the left hand side, which is 8d, and on the right hand side, 39 plus 5 is 44. So I'm just going to proceed on the right here. I don't have space left, so I have to divide by 8. And dividing by 8 does not give you a whole number answer, but rather gives you a improper fraction answer. So 8 divided by 8 here is 1d equal to, and I'm going to simplify this fraction of 44 divided by 8. Both can divide by 4 at least as the highest common factor, and that gives you 11 halves as the simplest form of that answer. Alright guys, you can proceed to do worksheet exercise B on the next page. I'm showing you it over here right now, so you can pause and have a look at it and zoom in and whatever is over here. Alright, and then if you need help with anything or have questions, please do ask.